Hi YouTube. Hey, I just wanted to talk today about the subject of public arrest records. Can you find those free online? Well, the answer to that question is yes and no. Sometimes you can, sometimes it's difficult. But I just wanted to talk about the reason some folks, and maybe you, want to find records, criminal records concerning someone. Maybe I don't know what your situation is. Maybe you're suspicious about somebody in your life. You have a babysitter that you've become concerned about. You're getting ready to hire a nanny. You're going to do some checks. Your daughter's dating a guy that you're concerned about. Your flags have risen, and you just have a suspicion everything's not right. Maybe you're an employer and you're on the verge of thinking about hiring some employees. Maybe it's your neighbor doing some weird stuff, and you just thought it might be interesting to check up on them. Well, there is a way, to check up on people to see whether they've ever been arrested, whether they have a criminal record or not, and some of this can be found online, and it can be found free. But there are difficulties with criminal records and arrest records. And I'm going to give you a couple of reasons why there are some difficulties. First of all, if a person was arrested in their life and they were acquitted or the charges were dropped, then that arrest record is pretty much going to just drift off. You may capture it in a newspaper clipping or something like that, but as far as a registry, a court record, no, that is probably not going to happen. If there's been a time lapse in an arrest, say in many states, the state that I live in, it's 7 years. After 7 years, even if you had an arrest, that's going to drift off into a never land on most registries, and so it makes it tough. So there are difficulties, but if you have suspicions, there are things that you can do that just give you some quick indicators, some quick information as to whether a person has a criminal past. A lot of people are under the assumption that all the court records, everything that ever happened down at the courthouse is on file down there, and that is just not true. Again, time limitations, data limitations, labor limitations. There's just a lot of reasons. So sometimes you can get lucky. Just go online, and if there is any obvious times of where a person was arrested, and it's that information can still be found. I'm going to show you something here that will help you and make you a better Google searcher anyway. And when you do your queries on Google, it'll help you. So I'm just going to give you an example of something that I use, and it's called a search operator. Google invented these search operators, and I'm going to show you a couple here. And if just go to Google, type in search operators, and it'll take you to the page where Google put it all together. But say, for instance, I'm going to just take an example here. Say we're wanting to look for records on a guy named John Smith, if he's ever been arrested. And here's what you do. You use a search operator called the all-in URL. And you type it in just like that, all-in URL, and then type out the guy's name, John Smith, and then the word arrested, or arrest plural, or you could use the word convicted or conviction, something like that. And so we're looking for stories, any stories that'll pop up. Google will search all stories with a URL with those three words, the person's name and the word arrested, in the URL. Now here's what happens. All in URL for John Smith arrested, the 713 results. You'll see that's not bad for a name as common as John Smith. And if this person that you're looking for has not a real common name, it's more of a an unusual name, all the better. That'll help you all the better and give you a real narrow search, and if there's anything out there to be found, you'll find it pretty quick. But look at those sites. John Smith arrested on March 1st, 2013. That's at jailbase.com. John Smith. Let's just scroll down here. Look at that site. Arthur John Smith, Arizona mugshot arrest.com. There's a lot of sites out there. John Smith at the bottom. Who'sarrested.com. Look at the we'll look at the next page here. John Smith, Reno arrest out of Nevada. Who'sarrested.com. We'll scroll down here. There's arrested mugshots again. There's a site called lawguru.com. Bustedtennessee.com. There's just a jillion sites, and what you would need to do is just scroll down. Now, if you had more specific information, like if you had his middle initial, John L. Smith, that would narrow it down even tighter. This is a very effective search. This is not only works for criminal records or arrest records, but any kind of search. Some people make the mistake of using another Google search operator, and it's just NURL. And if we use that NURL for John Smith arrested, look at that, 45,000 results. And the reason is all NURL tells us to make a search that has all three of those words in the story's URL. In URL, it can just be one or two of those words. So you don't want to do that. You want to go with all in URL. Now, I hope that helps you a little bit. It's a way of quickly looking online, finding any obvious stories that are out there. And again, time will begin to dissipate stories, but if it's fairly recent, within the last 7 years or so, you got a pretty good shot of finding it if it was in a newspaper or whatnot. Now, if you're really having the need to find some information on someone, do a criminal background search. You really need an official criminal background search. I've included the link to a wonderful site in the description box, and it has right now a 7-day free trial. It's risk-free, and you can do amazing things. Find cell phone numbers, email addresses, all kinds of information about people all over the world. And it's right now it's a risk-free 7-day trial. Hey, that's all I've got. Hope you learned something, and good luck.